I can get everything running up. It still doesn't say I'm live. What in the heck? YouTube like work challenge. Like, you know what I mean? Like, god dang. And that's just bizarre, man. That is bizarre. I don't know why YouTube gotta hate on me that much. Damn. No, I'm just joking. I'm just kidding. It's whatever. Let's see here. Announcements. Paste what I need to paste. Awesome. I'm waiting on the chat. The laptop to load. But other than that, welcome in everyone when you all get in. Well, there we go. Awesome. And yeah, same as always. 2 card pools, and if you have any questions, oracle cards, tarot cards, y'all know the drill. Pop one of these. That pen. 6 o'clock probably also isn't a good time to stream on a Sunday. And people are probably at like an afternoon church by this time. Or something. Or something. Alright, so let's see here. If we were to do a quick pull, just from the cards at random. Honestly, I'd probably do a tarot pull first. I feel like the oracles, a lot of people like oracles. So I'll do like just a quick 2 card. See what's happening, see what's going on. So the first card is the 7 of Cups. 7 of Cups is Scorpio and Venus. But other than that, with the 7 being there, also just talking about waiting. You might be faced with a few decisions, a few things to do, plotting for the future, choosing, do I want a relationship? Do I want to work on a business? Do I want to start something up? Do I want to work? Do I want to, just focus on money? Do I want to, get a relationship? All these things, right? Do I want to just live life? Do I want to, crash back into like lust or, go back to an old version of self or however, It's that question, that pondering moment where there's a lot of things just kind of in the air that could be done, but all together is a time for waiting. These ideas that are popping up, that are generating these feelings, and alerting you, they're not necessarily meant to be chosen just yet, but observed, to know, to see what's coming up, to know that these choices are things that are upcoming possibilities, rather than something to jump the gun on and choose immediately. So if you are in a space where you need to choose a decision, there's a lot of things coming at you. You're not sure what to do. Everything kind of feels panicked. even if it doesn't feel panic, definitely take time to just rest and just sit back and just see what the divine is doing. The divine's always moving. The divine's always causing things to go one way or the other, just as life goes. So with the Seven of Cups, really make sure, like, and even see, like, what's pulling you toward. What's pulling you towards all these things with Venus? What's getting you to cooperate with these? What are these things that's causing you to want a relationship with some, with obtaining something? Where's that relationship at? With self, and how is that being shown in with things that you're desiring to come into the future, and just aligning yourself more with that. And then again with the Seven of Wands, just even more clarification for resting, and even more clarification for getting a bunch of ideas. Right now, the ideas that you're, these ideas that are coming, to you and being sprung aren't really coming from that divine source. They're not something that's been cultivated or created, gently. It's a rush. It's a rational point. So all these ideas, the things that you are, coming up with, they're being based off of things that the rational mind can only, see and try to dictate, versus what's actually trying to be shown to you from, like, the heart space. So don't necessarily think that the options that you see as valuable or the best option right now is like the actual absolute best, because these options are as good as the rational mind can make them, without actual proper funding from the divine, from the rather than just being funded from the external. So take your time, take time to rest, to think on the ideas that are being presented to you. Don't necessarily jump off and take that leap just yet, but be ready, be in that waiting mode, that resting mode. If you do have to work, just be sure to do what you need to do. Just make sure that you're not overworking and that you're taking time for self, so that when the stress does hit, it doesn't amplify even more in that sense. Because the rational mind, even though you end up working and doing what you need to do, the rational mind will definitely counteract you and be like, well, since you were working all that time, there must have been something wrong, and then that puts you back into that stress of, like, then what am I supposed to do? And that all comes from the rational mind. That's why only the rational mind can really soothe that, and nothing from, like, a divine source can really help or soothe that type of panic or that type of mindset, because it's been being led and has been led by the rational mind, and it's only seeing things in a one-dimensional way, rather than seeing the truth, the whole totality of a situation or a thing, regardless. Yeah, welcome in. Welcome in. How we doing? How we feeling? Also, I should have said, but the Seven of Wands is Leo and Mars, which is like your leadership being put to the test of, like, the four elements, the rules of life, the rules of the universe, if you want. Alchemy, fire to water, water to air, air to earth. Yeah, if anyone needs any tarot reading from multiple decks we have here, tarot and oracle both, let me know. We got the normal tarot, we got shadow tarot, we got angel tarot, we have the words tarot, which is like a Hebraic tarot, we got animal tarot cards, we got all sorts of stuff. Oh, it's right here in front of me. I'm blind. Okay. What the hell? I didn't expect. Okay, well that's cool. That's an interesting response. I didn't expect it to be so fast. Yeah, and even with the Words Tarot, with the Emperor and the Chariot, the Emperor on the Words Tarot is divinity, distinction, specificity. Reach a higher perspective that enables you to see the whole picture. It's just kind of like an oracle deck, really more than a tarot. But the Chariot, which is transcendence, divine grace, and life. Slow down, let go, and let life lead the way as it unfolds. So again, by the wordings of this deck, compared to the tarot of the 2 7s, the 7 of Cups, the 7 of Wands reverse, again, just being able to get higher ground, seeing things from a higher place, and not jumping at it, going slow, taking your time. But from a tarot aspect, is seeing the cards from like the Emperor to the Chariot. Whatever you've been planning, whatever this next step you are about to take, is going to do, is it's going to give you access to a new level, a new part of your life, of your story. That's going to require just a new version of you. Maybe you've been working and cooperating with this new version for a while. Maybe you haven't. It all really depends. But with the Chariot, it is signifying the end, the victory, the being able to fly out on your own and do things the way that the way that you're intending to, living your dream. It might not be on the physical as you and your ego self, dreamed and attempted to manifest, but it's going to be something that is beneficial for your soul and your soul's growth in that sense. And welcome in. How we doing? How we feeling? How we doing? How we feeling? Another one. You can plot the animal. You can plot the animal. They're underneath. That's really weird. Let's see what the animal's got to say. I mean, yeah, we have a cat, which is independence. Sorry, I love reading. Whenever I read it, it adds up like this anyway. It says cat independence. You're being encouraged to develop a balance between independence and time of togetherness. This also indicates that you would greatly benefit from you would also greatly benefit from a profound journey of self-discovery. Learn to enjoy time spent with yourself. And then Cardinal, which is adventure. You live up to your fullest potential, explore new directions, and take risks in order to grow as an individual. Change might be uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Again, it's just that forming of that new self. You stepping out, taking that new venture, whether it's with a job or a relationship. It's about you being more independent. You taking that step that you need to take. Taking matters into your hand, doing what you need to do rather than allowing another individual's life to overrule yours, though it may seem a bit stressful or however at first, due to modern modern spiritual ways. I'll keep it that way because a lot of like spiritual teachers end up teaching in like in a reverse way, in a sense, where they kind of like teach you to stay within that victim mentality. So just being aware of that, that training on yourself, even, seeing where you're afraid to step out, seeing where you're afraid to experiment, seeing like where your talents almost fall invisible, not only like on the physical, but to yourself, due to that fear of trying to stretch out and branch out, um, and try new things, however that may be. But with it coming, with this new independence, with this new adventure, with these new starts, this new scepter being handed to you, to run off with and to see where you go next, really allow yourself to be guided by a more childlike version of self. Don't be so stressed out or hard. Don't be so deadline about things. Allow yourself to really like flourish in that sense. Whatever area that you are having the most struggle in, whether the most, not struggle, excuse me, the most resistance in, or the most like backlashing, whichever. Um, Really allow yourself to focus in on that, and see that, allowing yourself not to, entangle yourself in a really good way. Like something that helped me um, get like a better grasp is like not is getting rid of the word emotion. The word emotion does not mean what a lot of people think it means, and it definitely does not just stop at energy and motion. When it comes down to emotions, that's you emoting, which is just you acting out. That acting out is funded by a feeling. So, really and truly, these things we call emotions don't exist, and it's just a word that keeps you stapled down, um, without really realizing what's going on. Because now you think, for some reason, with that teaching, that then makes us believe that like, oh, emotions and feelings are different. Whenever there's only one real thing and the other one's fake, it's the two guards at the door. One's going to tell the full truth and one's going to tell a lie. One's going to be correct and the other one's not going to be correct. But you won't know which is which because we're not taught about these things. We're taught about it at a different, from a different look, from an egoic standpoint, from the standpoint of everything coming in and hurting you rather than you shining through everything. It's the same reason why like Zodiac is the way it is and tarot is the way it is, and everything in life is the way it is. It takes this external thing to move things instead of an internal. Once you disregard the need to blame flesh and use the term emotion and dial it back down to feeling, to where you're no longer telling your brain by like just the cognitance association by cognitance, excuse me, by making your emotions be like, oh, since I'm emotional, that means I have to act out now, because that emotional is made up of the word emote and a now, or emotionally, however, you know what the word emote means, and ILY just adds that energy to it of it being an action, usually present time. But your brain like connects all these things together because it knows, like your subconscious knows all these things. You've learned these words broken down, but then when they combine together, it's not like they equal something new. It's a compound of those two definitions, But we're taught in a different way. So removing the boundary of like yourself to see where you reside. Things don't happen to you; they happen for you. It's not that things are coming at you; they're coming out of you. And when we realize this as people, we'll really get this. It's the same reason why everyone thinks things are good and bad, is because we're looking at it from an outward perspective rather than like an inward perspective. It's not that you feel that it's bad, it's that you think it's bad because you've visually seen it, and that sight gave a feeling, a response, a trigger. That's not a feeling, it's a thought that's creating a feeling. It's a facade, it's fake, it's not a real thing. That true feeling that you get is the real thing. The rational mind does a job of its own to replicate what that true divine heart space feeling is, but it never can really actually create it, which is why people are left in fate instead of destiny, where they follow the rational mind and its excuses rather than moving forward with its heart space and doing what it knows would be best for it in that situation, in that circumstance, you know. But this all comes from that outward in perspective instead of that inward out. Because when you start to say that things are, you know, around you and you can't move because things are surrounding you, you forget that you're always going to be in a circumstance. Things are always going to be moving around you wherever you stand, wherever your stance is, wherever your position is. There's things going to move around you constantly. It's what we're in. We're in a circumstance always. So we need to really like understand that from like a huge point, because like modern day like spirituality is a mix of like Mohammedanism and Judaism and like Christianity and like Buddhism. It's like a mash of those. And true spirituality doesn't have to have like a religion. It follows a life. It follows your soul. Your soul is the spirituality that you're following. Your soul's life is your spiritual thing. It's not that one person dictates everything for everyone. It's that you dictate what it is for you. Whether it's your rational mind or you as the observer choosing, well, consciously choosing, I should say, that all depends. But these are the things that a lot of people just aren't aware of and don't really talk about. And honestly, if more people like did talk about it, there'd be healing. And it kind of just goes to show that most people who say they're healers don't actually want any healing, and it is like a money game. That, or they're still stuck in some form of spiritual psychosis, which is fair because you have to go through a form of spirit. You don't have to go through a form of spiritual psychosis because you don't really have to believe anything. But if you're not already aware and or haven't been taught of it, you have to kind of go through that psychosis. And then thank you, Josh. I appreciate love that sincerely. Thank you truly. And I'm wishing blessings upon you as well. I appreciate love the donation truly. But yeah, it's the, I don't know, the circumstances of like a human as it is very weird, because at least from what I've experienced is people are trying to like redefine things that already have definitions to almost make it easier, but it actually just overcomplicates everything, because now you have to like create an entire reality where that exists, and if people aren't aware of it, that's what happens. And that's kind of like with this new world order thing. It's just taking a conglomerate, like a bunch of our minds together and throwing it at like literally, like, I don't remember if it was yesterday's stream or the day before that, but that tarot deck that I just randomly seen that got released that had imagery describing everything the way that modern readers are reading. Like, that's what's going on, is they're not really healing anyone or really speaking about God. They're giving the message of an antichrist, and they're following an antichrist, which is why they're stuck in what seems like purgatory, because they give the same story every damn day. So if that doesn't like put two and two together a little bit, you know what I mean? Like it's just one of those farmland things. Like you're just you're just waiting to get into a slaughterhouse with that energy. It's really weird. But they're not really within that. They're more, I mean, I said it then, I'll say it now, they're more occult than like spiritual. The occult isn't spiritual. That's a whole other thing. Spirituality isn't like a thing you jump into. It's a thing that every person is born into, and it's up to that individual soul if they're going to walk down that path or not. And if they're walking down that path depends on their rational mind of their soul. You can say you're walking your path, but are you actually walking it both spiritually and physically with both feet? Or are you just verbally saying it? Which is like the thing that we all kind of have to struggle, you know, with is knowing if we are walking our path. But when working with the heart space, we know, you know. But we will, you know, it's working with that rational mind. It's about getting the actual facts of things out and not just jumping around, because this world, like, hold on, let me pull up my notes real quick, because I was making notes about this earlier and I want to talk about it a little bit. But yeah, that's basically like the egregore. If you want to talk about egregore, that's basically, I mean, that, that's what it is. It fully. Anyway, conditioned stimulus. That's how this whole world is ran, by conditioned stimuli. Whenever you see something, you have that reaction, and if unless you're trained to have an innate reaction, it won't be, that normal, that same reaction, or it won't be a similar reaction in that sense. So very, um, I mean, it goes back to that experiment with, like, I forgot the dog's name. I forgot the people who, like, conducted it too, but it was this dog, and it was like, anytime it got near, because its mouth would elevate when it got near food, and they used a control stimulus to ring a bell whenever it was time to eat food. So it trained the dog's mouth to water whenever it heard the bell, and that's basically, I mean, again, not basically, but it is how this realm is ran. And breaking that down different pipelines, you can kind of see how dangerous that can be. You have, that goes, talking about it with tarot, you have people associating the King of Swords with someone who has a bad mouth, whenever the King of Swords has nothing to do with the mouth at all, and there's nothing, like, in the imagery about a mouth other than the king's mouth. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's conditioning people to believe that, oh, anytime I see this thing, it's this happening, and anytime I see this card, it's that happening. And it's the same reason why you see a word and you associate something with it. It's the same reason why you associate someone doing something, like, that you don't agree with, and then you end up calling them karmic, which, breaking down the word of karma and karmic, that doesn't make a damn fucking bit of sense. Unless they're saying that person is just the result of you existing, then I guess then that could work in that sense. But regardless, it gives that poor association, and that's how you keep getting put into slumber. That's that cycle where you're not really learning anything, or you're not really moving forward, but it feels like you're moving forward because the encouragement and the words are there, and the energy behind the person's there, but there's nothing on the physical actually proving anything. And then you start, the cognizance kicks in. So then you watch these videos, like, if you watch this video, you're going to see this type of bird, or you're going to see this type of car, and then you're subconsciously out looking for it. So when you see it, you believe it's a synchronicity, but it really technically wasn't, but you created it to be, because the rational mind does its thing due to conditioned stimuli. It's this whole thing. And if you can get down to that point and, like, remove it, that's the grand thing. Like, conditioned stimuli, breaking it down to even, people being like, I can't stop thinking about, my ex, so they had to be doing some form of magic on me. Well, you would have never thought that they were doing that to you unless you've been conditioned or convinced otherwise of that actually being a thing. So now you think, anytime you think of someone that you haven't thought of for a while, they have to be doing something behind the scenes to you, rather than taking it as an introspective moment to actually develop more of your soul, and to move further on your spiritual journey, rather than just moving forward on your physical journey, which are two separate things that are intertwined together. Um, and that's just like your moral compass and your balance and all sorts of stuff down that pipe. But regardless, if you can, it's the same thing as, like, because conditioned stimuli, it works off of, if you're not aware of it, it's not going to bother you, right? That's like the premise, I guess you could say, for it, in a sense. So, you're not aware of how much, money you have. You're typically not worried about it. But if you've had situations where you've had poor money situations, you're now more conscious and more aware of your spending habits. Even if you're not meaning to, you end up checking your account balances up before you end up buying something, and, like, weighing out that pro and con. That's controlled stimuli because of a past experiment. That's what you're healing, is that nervous system response. You're not really healing yourself from, like, a spiritual standpoint when it comes down to messing with the physical realm. When you're trying to manifest or invest on the physical as a man, or create things, that involves you to work with the physical. You have the power in the spiritual. You've already asked for it within the spiritual. The fact that you have the idea of it in itself is a spiritual thing. It might not be funded by the right spirit that you want to use, but it's funded by a spirit regardless, right? So it's just being aware of that heavily. There's not a lot of, like, people out there, like, actually teaching anything. And it's a joke. It's really sad because like people want healing, but then they're faced with it. They don't want it because it's not what they're used to. But what they're used to is ego. So can I pull you two? I can pull you two. I can pull you two right now. I'm not really doing anything. I'm just talking off the top of my dome. You know. It's already afterward. I've already stopped talking about it. Do you want a tarot reading or an oracle reading? And what do you want the reading on? Yeah, I got you. Exactly. And it's like people tend to forget that even though it's spirituality, it it still binds and it is still very, very active and controlling of the physical. Nothing can happen here on this realm without spiritual advising uh and spiritual force. Nothing can happen without a true source of love. Nothing comes to you unless there's something that attracts it. That attraction is love. um but yeah. You don't ask tarot a question. You're asking really yourself the question out loud. The cards themselves just give you advice off the story of life, the journey that we walk. So you're not really asking the cards the question. You're just asking the question in general, and looking for assistance, on the path of life. Well, I won't, tarot can't tell you about your family in that sense, but we can like figure out what could be stopping you from going to Thailand if that's something that you're desiring to do. But it's something that's stopping you from doing that because tarot doesn't have anything to do with anything outside of you. It has everything to do internally. And welcome in, Savoy. We're good. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How are you? I got you, Cassidy. I got you. We can figure that out. Oh, so you're wanting to know. So you're wanting to know like if you're actually going to be moving there. Tarot can't do that. Tarot can only tell you like what's stopping you from doing things, or what's encouraging you, or like what's motivating you, or how you're connected to yourself at that point in time. Not necessarily like if you are going to move. That's not like what tarot is used for or what tarot is at all. And those that read tarot in that sense are lying to you like tenfold. They're not really benefiting anything in that sense. That's an old gypsy trick that has lasted ever since Egypt was raided, Lower Egypt, like back in the biblical times. And just to join, I got you. This is why I do what I do, though. Like people got to stop reading this shit wrong, because it's like it's getting it has people worried about a lot of things and stressed out about things that don't like matter to them and their like actual life mission. It's the ego that draws you to that attention, that wanting to know if something's gonna happen or knowing when. That's the ego, and that's how you know that you've disaligned with yourself. That's how you know that you're off your complete spiritual path and you're walking towards fate or your egoic path of life. And the path that you would rather take rather than your soul or your heart space, because your soul and your feminine part of you is a whole different part. Your masculine part is a different part, and then you are in the middle of both of them, choosing who you're going to listen to and which path you're going to take. It's just, I don't know, man. That the motive of how tarot is being read will definitely change over the next 5 years, though. I know that for sure. Over the next 5 years, there's going to be a huge change, and like in readers, because you can already I haven't watched any like tarot reader in a while, but they all are starting to sound depressed and drained. Well, not at least when I say all, I mean the ones that I've watched at least. They don't have that character. They can't spark it up, and it's really bizarre. It's just not right. Um, that's just, you can call it what you want to call it, but you talk about spiritual beings and stuff, honey. That seems like something. But regardless, let me get to Cassie's reading before I forget, because if I don't stop now, it will never happen. Anyway, Cassie, your first card is, you should have been here earlier. It's the Seven of Cups. When I pulled these cards earlier, the Seven of Cups came out. That's why I said that. But right now, you might be faced with a bunch of decisions. Obviously, with the family and stuff, in the moving situation, there's a lot of things pulling at that feeling point that you're at. And thank you, Alima, for the donation. I truly appreciate you. But right now with the Seven of Cups, there's a lot of options right now. The Seven in tarot represents the Sabbath, which is to wait. It means to just not move, to rest. Obviously, that's a divine come in and do things. The Seven of Cups is Scorpio and Venus, finding how things are going to be brought back, how things are going to be brought to a rebirth with Scorpio, and, with Venus, how they're going to connect. How is it things going to be brought together? How are things going to be working together? Teamwork, things of that nature, But right now is the time just to kind of rest. Don't move just yet. Don't make any quick or hasty decisions. Just really be in that resting energy. And then the Six of Cups, because there's some part of you that you're needing to come back to. The rational mind, your brain, your thoughts have ran off of something with an idea that you've heard, and it's created this upheaval that isn't quite right, or something hasn't been quite digested yet. There needs to be a calming of the mind, a bringing back to self. Deep down within yourself, you know what to do, but your rational mind has to come to that heart space. That the heart space can't move. The feminine can't move from which it is. The masculine is what goes back and forth. That's why you go within to receive things, to put things outward. You don't reach outward to put things inward, right? But take that time to dive in. And the Six of Cups is Scorpio with the sun. Seeing who you are, seeing the decisions that you're making, seeing how you're acting, seeing how the rational mind is. The sun representing the ego, the self, in that sense. And again, Venus representing the relationships, the connectivity of self. So really focus on what can nurture you. Not being afraid to ask the questions to the people that you need to ask to calm the mind, to get more information. Not being afraid to step back, or to say no to certain things that you don't necessarily want, or to chip in your words. Make sure that you are remembering as well that you do have a voice in these things, and that you don't deserve to sit in silence or in uncomfortability. So definitely at this time, just sit back and kind of gather your thoughts, so that when you do end up needing to make a move, you'll be in a more concise and calm energy rather than a sporadic and chaotic one. That is your reading. I gotta something. I gotta gauge myself on that. I gotta work on that a little bit, just so I'm not doing anything. I'm thinking out loud. I'm sorry. I got a lot going on. How will you know if you found the right job? You'll know when you find the right job when you finally feel comfortable. You'll know it because you'll hit a new comfortable level. You'll be in an area where, even though you're still getting used to it, you have a new comfortability. The people there will be, you'll be easier to connect to. You yourself will be a lot more fluid in that environment. But it's a heart thing. It's that feeling. It's not about the mind being like, oh, I'm going to get paid this much and that's going to be good. No, it's about the heart, what allows you to truly, express yourself and be who you desire to be. That's how you know when you found the right job. Just truly going after your passions and what brings you the best joy. What brings you the most peace within, truly. And if you don't know the answer to that, look at your hobbies, look at things that you're interested in, look at things that you're studying, and then branching that off. Oh, since I like these things, I could do this or I could do that. Don't let yourself say that something's stupid or a bad idea. It just might be it's all clumped up in the one, and you're not able to like digest of how to break it down and get all those things to like work. So just take it one step at a time after that. And it's not going to be like done in one whole planning event either. Just get the base root ideas down, and then after when time passes on, kind of expand on them, just so that they have some form of like usage, and they're not just going to be like forgotten in the vault. I feel that, Savoy. But yeah, if you have any, like truly, if you have any hobbies or passions, or truly just even like, making a blog or something of that sense, either like digital, like video blog, or just, a website blog, however, doing things of that nature can generate revenue really like a lot more than you would think. It just matters about like what platform you're using, and like how that platform works with you and your content and everything of that in that nature. But like, you know, think of the hobbies, think of, all those things. And even if you can't find the right job immediately, don't worry about it being the exact perfect job. Worry about it being something that aligns with something you're going to go to next. You know, don't forget that self-love is, whenever, sometimes saying no is just self-love. Sometimes that can even be to that you know that end result that you're desiring immediately. Saying no to that and walking with what you are able to like grab onto now is a form of that self-love. It might be a battle between the rational mind, and the self, but it will definitely guide you closer to more of like an answer of what you're desiring rather than. The tarot deck or the oracle deck for the animal. I can get you with that. Let's see, you go up, you go up, you go over here. But yeah, welcome in, Kay. Hopefully you're doing well. Yeah, but the tarot animal deck or the okay, got you. Got you. Let's see here. So your first card is hippopotamus, which is exploration. If you've become bored with your life, you have the creative power to stir things up and revitalize everything. You can do this by starting a new project, setting new goals, and making spiritual connections. Next, we have deer, which is gentleness. This is a reminder to be more gentle with yourself and others. The grace, sensitivity, and gentleness of this spirit animal echo to the qualities brought forth when living from the heart. So yeah, being sure that, you know, I feel like, damn, it really is just a bunch of just inner child that like working on building that inner child up, which makes a lot of sense. Um, with okay, thank you for the sirens too, um, but oh damn, from the 1500s. Well, it's your guides don't. It doesn't matter about what your guides think. Your guides don't have a matter whether it's your path or not. You know, you're either on, you know, walking within your heart space or you're not, and that's something only you can know. Your spirit guides and things of that nature, in the sense that they're talked of spiritually, you know, depending on who, are either like inner or outer characters. But those spirit guides aren't like as, you know, as separated as you think. They're different attributes of self. They're different, you know, characteristics of you. Um, so they wouldn't really tell you anything about that. The only thing that would really, you know, be a benefit is just, you know, a tarot, you know, from the, you know, Raider way would just be a tarot reading on like the struggles that you may be having when it comes down to being connected with that heart space and being on the path. Because no one can tell you if you're on your path other than you. You know, no guide, no ancestor, nothing, because they still have their preference. They still have their outlook, their view on you. So you wouldn't be living your path by asking your ancestors. You'd be living their path. But yeah, with the inner child thing, that makes a lot of sense with how everything is and how everything's been like moving. Yeah, I got you, Savoy. No worries. But like it's just like modern day spiritualism is the way it's talked about is outward. It's like it's really like westernization is just about making things backwards, which explains a lot why west is that direction on the compass, you know, and also depending on how you look at a compass, because to me west is backwards and east is forward from that degree. But that's a topic for another day for whoever invented the fucking compass and where they were looking whenever they made it. That's interesting. I love symbology. I love old art too. Like, I don't know. I like looking at like old alchemical art and just like kind of decoding it. Hmm. 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 Damn, I got my brain running like crazy. Something, something popped up in my something popped up in my head. I'm on a train right now. I don't know where I'm heading, but it's very interesting. It's just a weird thought form. I like completely forgot what sparked this thought form that I had, but it's gone now. It's a very interesting one. It's in the vault. It's in the vault somewhere. I don't know where it is. I guess that makes sense. Now I'm going down. Hold on. That is interesting. Well, I appreciate that. You know, I would be down to, somehow help in that situation if possible. Because I love symbolism so much. Because like even with like tarot, I need a magnifying glass. That's all I need is a magnifying glass. So I can like zoom in on the card, I can like see the cards. Well, I mean, I have all the cards. Like, I could just look. I could just zoom. I have them on my computer. I could just zoom in on them like that. Because there's a lot of like stuff in these cards that aren't seen. Yeah, that's the system that they ran, that they created with the whole job system of being these like certifications and stuff to do those things. But I get that. Oh God. My depending on how many depending on how how in depth the imagery goes, I might have to hit up if someone. I'm about to hit up the spiritual hobo to help me with that. But I should be fine. I know how to research stuff. Always, you always gotta be using a magnifying glass. That's the thing. And you gotta look into it. When you see the full picture and you know you're good and you know the full picture and how it looks, then you can start looking in. Get you a magnifying glass. Look into things. Right, exactly, Savoy. That's the thing. It's so stupid because it's like, oh, we have more than we had then. We have less than we have now. To me, at least, like, dude, we have all this stuff. But I don't see many people doing much. Like, with it's just how it be. And it's not even because like people aren't doing anything with it. It's just because dude, it's just not handled properly. Like the technology that we have at least today is not handled very well. I used to have a frog one. It wasn't a very good one because it was one that you put on the ground on the table and you would move it. It was like a frog, but the middle of it was the magnifying glass. It wasn't good because it was like dirty. It was just always dusty because we had it where we had it. But it was a cool one. Yeah, exactly. Like once you get a good income at that point and you're able to like do something, the best bet would just to be like either to buy land or like to build a cabin in the woods somewhere, you know, at that point. But yeah, that's kind of what I wanted. Why I want to just like get land or like something of that nature at some point. Right? Yeah, exactly. Or get like a RV or and like convert it into something and then like just drive off like that. Something. Have a bit more of an open up, opportunity. Well, yeah. I mean, truly, even without money, we would still have to pay with something. That's the give and take of life. It might not be as physical, but it would involve some form of like labor, whether that's mental, feelings labor, However, physical labor. The only issue is we've devolved ourselves into thinking that, well, not even thinking, but we've been devolved, I should say, um, to accept that what we have is a valuable like currency whenever it's really not, and there's just like words and like another box as a punishment. And that's not, that's not to say that it's not like a serious thing, but really at the end of the day, it's like we ended up getting played so much that now we're at this point where we have to take the game into our own hands because we're the ones that's kind of been playing it on ourselves for a while. Because, the majority of people that believe that they're being attacked by like government agencies and stuff, most of them are like too busy worrying about like what the fuck's actually going on than that. There are some people that go through that, but you know there's a lot like that. I don't know. The government really doesn't focus on us because there's a lot of other shit that's going on that they need to handle first. And a major thing they need to handle is being able to keep the lid on a bunch of things at once. What that lid is, I'm not too sure. It could be millions of lids. A monocle? Nah. I haven't thought about getting a monocle. Well, I might have in the past because it kind of rings a bell a little bit. I've never thought about buying a monocle for personal use, but having a monocle just for like random things, probably. I would probably have it for that purpose. But monocles are cool. Got you. That's okay. No worries with that. How much for 2 cards? 2 cards are free. The 2 card pulls are free. Donations are like not required, but appreciate loved. I think I'm looking at one of their paintings right now, Joe, and I can definitely see. Oh wow, and it's actually correct too. I can see it because that's the. Mmm. Damn. Sorry, I'm looking at the image. I'm breaking a lot of things down. are you gonna be free? Whenever you truly decide to. That's the true authentic answer. You will be free of the situation that you are in when you truly, fully desire to be. That's the full photo. No, they're not. No one's focusing on anyone. It's not. Don't blame the government. Don't blame anyone on the physical for these spiritual issues. Nothing on the physical can stop anything in the spiritual. And being within that trap is allowing that force that you don't want to be in to actually just control you, because that's that force that you're afraid of is the rational mind that's trying to convince you that you need to be afraid of that heart place of following the intuition, leading you to follow the rational mind rather than actually following the intuition, and creating the facade of being awake and knowing what's happening when actually you've created like a cryo chamber for you to fall asleep in, and letting that ego self being more of like, you know, a sleeper agent for like your ego whenever it needs something, rather than being living and breathing soul. Yeah, I got you. I got you. What do you what do you want to pull on? I can get you. Huh. That's actually really cool, Joe. Uh, yeah, keep me updated with that. I'd be interested in seeing if, you know, if any form of like help could be, you know, if any sort of like decoding could be brought upon that. Yeah, that's what happens, Savoy. Like a lot of readers just use like the general like word. They'll use the label, and it though it grabs people in, what it's doing is it's malicious intent, because the individual behind knows to a certain degree that not everyone on there is going to be a chosen one. They just use your discernment as like a spiritual getaway for their actions, when in actuality that individual most likely knows that not everyone can use their discernment. So even though they're still doing that, they're doing it with that intent, you know, internally. How punishable is that? I don't fucking know. It depends on that person and their soul and what they're doing with their, you know, and how they're operating with their moral compass, you know. But, you know, aren't earth angels? No, there's no such thing as an earth angel. That's something that comes from a duality being and living situation. What you mean by earth angel is fallen angel, which is everyone who is here on earth. We're all fallen angels, you know. We all were birthed from mother in heaven and came down here. We're all fallen angels. We're earth angels, quote unquote, but we're just fallen. We forgot grace. We have flesh. We can know we've been dirtied. Our mind is no longer pure. We've been infatuated with lies, deceit, and illusion, which is the 3D reality we live in. So no one can really be an earth angel if you're still falling for deceit. That doesn't make you an angel. An angel wouldn't fall for a form of deceit, no matter how little or low, or small that deceit might be. An angel would never fall for it. So the fact that we would fall for simple tricks and illusions that our eyes, have and our brains create, makes us impure by that stature, because we're not experiencing it purely from that space of feeling. We're now interpreting it into something and trying to solidify it and change its form rather than allowing it to exist and morphing our own viewpoints around it. Because though these terms come from like the Bible and stuff, these terms were way before the Bible, and these are codes. The numbers within the Bible are codes. The paraphrases, every the whole Bible is just a codex. You know, replacing every letter in the Bible with your name and reading your stories in that sense. Reading every word for how they're supposed to be, both phonically and literally, rather than worrying about the context of the surrounding words. Reading each word as they are put down in that intent will also show you that certain things that are going on. I feel that the thing I always feel called to point out when people are concerned about gang stalkers is the fact that when you get a reading and someone says you're being gang stalked, you need to keep in mind that the government is constantly gang stalking you because they have access to everything that you're using. Anything that has any form of like electromagnetic field that can transmit and receive, they have access to it. So the concern of being gang stalked and the slew of people picking up on people being gang stalked could genuinely just be the fact that someone has access to your computer, that has had access to that computer when it was manufactured. By the time the motherboard was created, it was already had access and tapped into in that sense. So it's not necessarily the sense that you are, being gang stalked. It could genuinely just be, again, and this is kind of the topic we were talking about today a little bit, it's just like conditional stimulus. Believing that seeing a color or a thing or hearing something or a repetitive sound or action means that there is some form of impending, doom or an answer coming behind it, not allowing something to be in that solid state. It all falls underneath the whole like line of spiritual psychosis and what you go through on that journey of diving deeper into the self and having these actualizations. Tarot can't tell you anything about that, LA Smart. That I don't have the tools for that. Tarot can't answer questions like that, and you're not asking a spirit when you're getting a tarot reading. You're not asking a spirit or angels or God or anyone. You're asking yourself what you need to do, and you read the imagery on the cards. It comes out as the energy from you and the current go and combine and equal the third, because when two come together, the third is their God, which would be the energy between, which is the message that you receive. Starseed, everyone's a starseed to a degree. Unless you are made in a lab, then you're not necessarily a starseed. You're, biogenic goop. But if you're not from here and you weren't made in a lab, you're a starseed. It's another thing where the ego grabs onto it to kind of give yourself like a gratification and make you feel like you're worth more. But then it's a double-edged sword and damages your ego, because then since you're told that you're all these labels, you're supposed to live up to this label, and you then create this out of world's expectation that you need to stand at while having that title, which can't be completed. So you're literally soft locking yourself in this cycle of, I need to do better, but I physically can't, so I'm awful, and I'm not going to do anything because I can't do anything without feeling satisfaction unless it's grandeur, and I can't do those grandeur actions. And that's why all these labels exist. They're not being used in their true form. They're not something that, is talked about in the sense of it is, today. It wasn't something that people were like boasting around and saying. It was something that would be picked up by others. It was an unspoken fact of an individual. It wouldn't need to be shined and spoken about. But the fact that so many people are talking and shining about it shows that there is some form of false light around that is trying to blend in, because it's the law of life, where where attention is going, there's going to be the exact opposite that slews in, which is the modernization of things, unfortunately. Prophet, everyone's intuitive. Psychic just means mental, and being a prophet means that you write things down that come into existence later. If you're not writing things down on paper and they come true later, exactly how you wrote them, you're not a prophet. Psychic, it just means mental. It just means that you know how the mental works. You're controlling of your own mind. If you can't control your own mind and your own thoughts, you're not a psychic, let alone if you can't read, your own body, the realm around you, or use your mind in a sense of boosting you forward rather than hindering you. You're not a psychic. And just intuition, everyone has intuition. That's the feminine side of you. People who are intuitive are just more tapped into the heart space than others. That's all it means. It's not a brain thing. It's not like this crazy thing. It's just about being more connected to the heart space. When people say intuitive, sometimes they're talking about clairvoyance, which is when you receive messages and visions and or dreams. Not being a prophet, that's something completely different as well, with the writing of it. But prophets can also get visions. The only thing that separates clairvoyance from prophets is prophets actually write this stuff down. Clairvoyants don't. They might explain the message verbally or, tell someone, but they won't write it down. And it won't be something that comes true in the future. It's usually something that comes in, not within the distant future, but something within the near future, excuse me. Prophets foretell of the story and the untold, the unfolding of life itself, the cosmic events and things. Tarot readers don't do that. Tarot readers don't even read the stars, they're reading the cards. But, I don't know. These are all just misconceptions of these concepts that have existed way before we even, got a hold of them. And it's just looking at the word and really seeing it and knowing these things. Which, again, like, the majority don't. It's the photo of everyone walking one way and then the one person walking the other way. Like, there's a cliff there. It's funny. It's funny because at the start of the spiritual journey, at least from my observation, a lot of people would post stuff like that, like, oh, you're going the wrong way, we're going this way because it's spiritual. But then when you go further down that path of walking your life, you begin to see how everyone else is also walking the opposite way, because everyone else is going off of what they've been told rather what they've actually experienced and researched, which is awful. The fact that a lot of people are stuck and frozen isn't because like someone's doing something to you. It's because you're using your free will to believe and adapt to someone else's story over your circumstance, and allowing that to mutate and control your outer life, which is awful to do. But a lot of people do that unknowingly, which is very scary. But that's, that's both like on the querent and the reader at that point, because the reader should know better of what they're doing. You should know the art of what you're doing before you do it. And it's also the querent's fault because you had the choice not to believe, but you used your free will to believe rather than to have disbelief. all that stuff. It's just that internal war that we're fighting in that sense. But yeah. Well, it may be, it may not be. Um, that's just something that tarot can't really operate on. You can always ask, that individual to give you more signs if that really is them or not as well. By tapping into their energy through your heart space from like past events and asking from that stance. You just say them and they come true. That's not a prophet. And truly, if everything you say come true, you should be able to just say, this situation is over, and then that situation will be over, and you would be in a better situation if things that you said were to come true. That's the truth of it, truly. So if you're able to do those things, hone in on that ability, and then change your life using that ability that you have, rather than allowing it to only be useful for certain occasions and not used whenever it's properly needed. And what's up, CST? What's up? What's up? Not for the next few months. Tarot doesn't do future telling. Um, that's not what tarot is used for. The advice for the next few months would be the advice that you asked for today. So if you're worried about the next 2 months, the proper way of asking that would just be, what can I do right now to better my journey in the future? What steps could I, work on internally to allow a smoother, forward progression? Rather than being worried about, the stance of it being future context in that sense. And being more in the, what can I do? Rather than like how things are going to be. Because then you're going to define, because even though I know what you mean, the way you're defining that question is, how are the events on the external going to be, rather than how am I going, what can I be doing currently, to either, to help me on my path, to avoid certain things that might not need to happen within within the future based off of current stances now, and things of that nature. But that's an important thing to do within tarot, because the questions that you ask, and the questions that you receive, kind of shadow, either foreshadow or shine the light directly onto the part of you of who you are now, the phase of you who you are now. What does the tarot actually describe? Tarot is a system that, so in its simplest forms, the tarot, it tells you about the 2 keys in you and why you're missing one. In that sense, and the way it tells you is using symbology, numerology, astrology, astronomy, metaphysics, and psychological dealings. And what tarot cards do is, because tarot itself was a life form, it was a way of life. It held the secrets of life. It showed the way, that man would live and be at, top peak performance, being able to do superhuman feats, and be the god or goddess they were destined to be. And whenever Lower Egypt was raided, the Gypsies and Cometites had to hide the logic, so they put it in cards. They hid all the wisdom in cards. And when the Romans began figuring out that they had this stuff in the cards, they were using cards for things, the Gypsies then made it a playing card game to hide it, so that it wouldn't get thrown away. It was confiscated, given to the Europeans, and then blew up in Italy around the 1600s or 1500s by like housewives. They made games out of them, and then they made like their own rendition of it because they enjoyed the art so much, or some shit like that. I don't know why they actually made a rendition, their own rendition of it, but they have their own rendition of it. But yeah, the tarot cards hold that ancient wisdom from all the way back from ancient times, where they had the keys to be able to create the things that you're desiring, to be able to create heaven and earth, to really become that god or goddess that you're desiring, to free yourself and liberate yourself from the flesh and truly be within spirit. That's what tarot is used for. Unfortunately, all the centuries that has been hidden has caused the European way of doing things to kind of overweigh. The tarot is used to describe the connectivity between your rational consciousness and your intuitive consciousness, or your mind and your heart. The connectivity between the feminine aspect of you and the masculine part of you, because you're a twin individual. You have two operating systems and you're in the middle. You're three in one. That's the Holy Trinity, or whatever you want to talk about. The three being repetitive isn't some form of like heavenly angelic symbol. It's you. It's the two in you. It's the masculine, the mind, the feminine, the intuitive, the heart space, the soul, the physical and the spiritual. Father being controlling the physical of time and matter, and mother controlling the spiritual, giving you the nourishment and the power to move forward. They're not reading them right. They're not reading the cards right. They don't know what they're doing when they're reading the cards like that. What they're doing is they're just seeing the cards and they're just saying whatever they think it is. The meanings of their cards change every day. That's how you know their messages are fake. There would be no reason for the King of Swords one day to mean someone that's biting someone's head off, and then the next day for it to mean someone who's going to come in and defend you. That makes no sense. That's not how the cards work. The symbols of the card do not change. The imagery of the card does not change. The only thing that is able to change is the way that you agree with how that message is going, your cognitive agreeance upon that message. So if the day that reader gives the message and it's a good reading, then that means that in the back of their mind, their subconscious is going to be churning up things to allow them to speak lighter on the matter rather than speaking heavier on it when the reading begins out as bad. And it's all based off of cognitive association. And it describes who that individual is, because that's their insides being poured out. All these readers reading about what's coming next are afraid of what's happening in the future. All these readers reading about karmic situations and people being mean and attacking people still have not actually healed any amount of what they needed to heal, and are still struggling, and are using that as a coping mechanism to like alleviate that sort of feeling and alleviate that mental anguish that they may be having on them. No matter the case, you can tell the difference of who's working with the matrix and not, based off of their message and how their channel is doing, in that sense, if we're going to talk about it in the realm of like social media. Because those who are still operating on the devil's frequency of talking about others and hurting others and things of that nature, death, low vibrational things, or things that can bring upon low vibrational matters to people, they're the ones that are skyrocketing. Those that are speaking truth and knowledge and trying to enlighten people, not so much. And there's a huge reason for that, and it's because they don't want that truth to come out. They'd rather promote those that don't know anything and continuously spew out lies and actual knowledge to keep everyone dumb. The more conscious you become, the more of a threat you become. The more asleep you become, the less they care about you. And unfortunately, they'd rather have you asleep. So that's the unfortunate part. And again, that goes right back to what I was talking about with the photo of like all the people walking one way and the one person walking the other. All those readers reading about this karmic situation, which is really just an inner battle between the two dualities of their self, are walking one way, and everyone over here are walking another way. We're not. I'm not convinced by that aspect of life. I'm someone that ended up getting sucked into that vortex, and I got spit out on the other side. And I'm just walking. There's no magic attack done on me. There ain't nothing that can touch me at this point because I've learned things that apparently not many spiritual teachers know about or want to talk about. And once you get certain knowledge, things can't touch you. Once you understand what a spirit is, what a jinn is, what a demon is, what an angel is, these beings can no longer hurt and or harm, hurt or harm you. They can no longer have any form of like ruling force in your life unless you actually allow it. And it's because of that wisdom, that growing point, that knowing point of saying, hey, I have the wisdom of you. I know what you are. I know who you are. I know where you came from. You actually can't do anything with me. You can't scare me. There's not a surprise up your sleeve. The only surprise there is maybe your personality at that best. And at then, that's just a mental test. That's just a test of don't let that personality get on my nerves. And that's nothing. A spirit's personality is whatever. But when an individual with the flesh comes on, it adds that level of the physical of, oh, so now that I can see you and you can see me, if you can visually see that I'm mad, you should stop. But if it's a spirit or a ghost, if they visually see you, it doesn't necessarily matter in that case because you don't have that physical, back and forth reaction. But the readers today don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They're not. It's concerning, dude. It really is. It's super concerning. Exactly. That's the name of the game. They give you half because like here's the thing: the devil's not the no one and nowhere does it say and nowhere does it ever like imply that the devil takes everything away from you. The devil gives you what you want, but you have to do what he desires, right? So even though like they may be giving partially correct information, that information they're getting fed is being controlled by a jinn. That's when they get ramped up emotion. That's when they get ramped up feelings and start acting out of character or, flailing around or going, I hate this energy. They start complaining out loud. It's because that's not something when they're being forced to do it. If they didn't want to do it, they wouldn't be doing it. So what's happening? They're being forced to. It's forcing them that jinn, a force that they can't see, that they're way more powerful of because jinn are fucking terrified and mortified of humans. But if you're afraid of them, they'll fucking kick your ass. Don't give them that advantage. But a lot of these people do. They might be able to channel gods and goddesses, but they're over there getting their ass kicked by a Satan's imp, 2 or 3 times a day. That might come with the price. That person might not even realize it or understand it. But at the end of the day, it's up to the individual who's receiving that message to test that spirit, to truly be like, okay, so what are you doing? Like, who are you? What do you do? What do you know? Like, inform me on these things. You say that you know these things. Tell me more about these things. Testing that spirit in that sense. And not a lot of people can do that within tarot, unfortunately, because no one's teaching the art. People are now going to begin to teach the art of what tarot is. I'll leave it like that because there are moves happening behind. I'm not even gonna say moves. There are waves, tsunamis in the background. I'm not joking. Like, it's like words for implication, obviously, but it's not just me. It's not just a spiritual hobo. It is a lot more than even I thought. And that doesn't mean it's like a huge grandeur number, but there is a motion happening. And yeah, we're just moving along with it because we're on that path for truth. And I at least want people to have like a dedicatable like resource to know how to read cards. So if a message does get confusing, they'll at least know how to read them for itself to a degree. Because usually for readings, people don't give them like a chance to devolve. It's either the ego leads it, or like someone says, no, it's not that, it's this, or no, you're wrong about that, it's this other thing. Not really taking in the full essence of a message, and just letting the ego aspect kind of be like, no, it's this and that. All right, cool. No, the cards do not lie. That's the thing, and that's the big thing. That's the one thing. When, and I've said this before, I will stick with this fully because it is the full truth. Whenever you're reading cards for someone, or reading cards for yourself, the card's definition does not change. The only reason that you would say anything different about a card that comes out for one person and the same card that comes out for another person, the only difference would be that individual and their situation, their energy, their situation, their mindset, their comprehension, everything of that matter changes that message. The cards themselves don't change. The message of the cards don't change. If I pull the Five of Wands, right, and I put it in, it's just like sarcastic in a way, but this is literally like it's just proof. If I put it in the deck, right, and this one's the Five of Wands, right, obviously because I pulled it out. If I pull it back out, it's still going to be the Five of Wands. It's not going to change. It's no matter what. Even if I flip it around and like show it to you the next day or tomorrow, or you go to one of my past videos, it's still the Six of Wands. What does the Six of Wands represent? It has the planet, it has the numerology, it has the element of it, it has the symbology and the main message, the 5 things that it needs. All you have to do is the 6th thing, which is to spiritualize it. Take it to a meeting. That person's having a spiritual issue. Their soul's not being heard correctly. Their heart space isn't being followed precisely. They need some help. That's the spiritualization of it. The God in the middle, the 3 factor, that's the 6, you know? They get the message, they digest it. But there, that's what I'm doing on the shorts on this channel, is I'm breaking it down a little bit. After I get finished with all of those and the major arcana, we're gonna go in more. But I have tarot classes that I teach. But I'm switching up the curriculum for that and doing a call based thing. Just because since I'm gonna be working with my mentor and stuff with the classes and stuff. It'd just be easier to switch everything over to that. But yeah, on the shorts, we're on the 6 of Swords, so we're almost finished with the minor arcana. If you want to go through the shorts at some time and look through all those and do that, they're not in depth, but they're just enough to like grasp the main message. The in-depth parts are going to come in later, but they're like the deeper stuff, like the huge things are like for the classes. Because there's so much you can teach from these cards. There's so many ways you can look at this card, but it's still going to give the same message of it being that. You're just going to read it differently. Because like, imagine this being a book. Imagine the tarot cards as being a book. It's a bindless book. It's not bound to anything. Every card is a page. There's 78 pages, right? You pull one page out. This is the page you get, right? This describes the scenario you're in. Step 1, you know, once upon a time, boom, this is where you're at now. This is the issue at hand. This is what the story is based off. The second card, boom, this is the reason why. And it's so funny the way it works. Knight of Cups, your wishes aren't coming true. Want to know why? Lover's reverse. You're not connected to your heart. You're not activating the genie inside of you with the Knight of Cups. You're not getting Jupiter's blessing because you yourself aren't loving yourself. You're not connected. The feminine and the masculine aren't there. You know, that's just a 2 card. You can go 3 card and give you how to connect to yourself. 3 cards, 8 of Cups, don't walk away. You know, that might be a message for someone, that might not be. I just pulled 3 random cards out of nowhere. But based off of what I know of the cards, how I know how these work, you know, and the system behind the cards, that's the message from 3 cards. And we can break it down even deeper, the 9 being the test before the breakthrough, the 8 being the trial stage, 4 being matters of, you know, dealing with the matters of you know, time and matter. So the reason why your dreams aren't working is because you're being tested by the reality around you. Your luck's being tested. You feel like your luck is down. Not a Cups, that's Virgo. Damn, why is Virgo not clicking with me today? Anyway, Virgo with the water, that's mutable. So there's something changing. Like your feelings can't move forward. There's something within you, that dream, that spark of inspiration can't move forward because you're disconnected. with 4 within matter and time. Maybe you don't feel like you have enough supplies, you're running out of time, too much demand, little cost for things, but don't walk away from that idea, you know. The 8 of Cups, the 8 representing the test, 8 being what is it? It's Gemini. No, it's not. It's still yeah, it's still Virgo, but 8, that's Mercury, isn't it? Let me check. Let me check it. No, it's not. I'm lied. It's Saturn. That was close. It's communication, but Saturn again. But it's Pisces and Saturn. So that's testing like your discipline and stuff. Struggling with discipline could be an easy. No, this isn't a collective. This is just an example. I was just diving deeper into like how to read the cards for CST. Just breaking it down even further and stuff. It could be a message for you though. If it clicks with you, it could be. You know, that's the thing. That's the thing with tarot. Even as a reader, when you do read cards, even if you're reading it for someone else, if you see the card, it's for you. So even if I'm reading the cards for someone else, those cards have some form of resonance within me, because if they didn't, I wouldn't be able to speak what I got from them, right? So it's a double-edged, it's always going to have 2 edges. It's just about being aware of them, and that's hilarious. But the fucking 2 of Pentacles being on the bottom, finding the balance for victory amongst the shaky feelings of being in between those 2 realms. Yeah, you can give me your email. Email her email to me though. If you could do that, just just for like privacy's sake. But yeah, if you could email, that's such a funny sentence. I'm sorry, but if you could email her, if you could email me her email, I got you. Hell yeah. But yeah, going even further, dude. It's not something I can talk about on one stream. You're thinking about paintings. Was it the 2 of Pentacles that was causing the paintings, or the 8 of Cups reverse? The 2 of Pentacles reverse, the 8 of Cups reverse. If it was the 8 of Cups reverse, don't walk away from the ideas and the paintings. Really allow yourself to boost over that insecurity. Work with that sacral chakra. And if it was the 2 of Pentacles, try to find the best of both worlds when making art. Oh, the middle card? Yeah. The Lover's reverse. Well, damn, I pulled. Well, yeah, the Lover's reverse. Yeah. So the Lover's reverse. That's just a disconnect from self. Disconnect from that heart space. Bring more childlike energy. Bring more nurturing. You know, allow yourself to have more expression. Figure out why you're almost afraid to walk towards that feminine space, and listen to your intuition. Let the happy accidents take place, so you can allow that childlike joy to come through. Your rational mind might get upset at it at first, but that's because it thinks being mature is being serious and rock hard, rather than mature being educated and wise. No, I was right the first time. Either way, it gave a talking point. Either way, someone needed those messages. Regardless, they came out my mouth for something. I needed it. Someone else needed it too. It's just how it be. But yeah, regardless, yeah, don't walk away from your art. Never. As an artist, I don't paint, but I do like digital art and music, so I understand like the struggles of being an artist. Like, should I do this? Should I do that? I've learned that there's no wasted time within art. So even if I don't like how the end product is, there's always going to be like a new technique or a new thing that I try within the art that I can like add on to other things. It's just an idea. Yeah, definitely, like, don't walk away from it though. Build onto it. You know, make sketches if you need to. Like, some of my artist friends, I don't know if anyone else does it or not. I don't even know if you do it, but I just feel like talking about it. Like, they'll make 4 tiny squares, and what they'll do is make 4 like 30-second sketches, and then they'll go down to they'll make 16 boxes and do 16 like 30-second sketches, like 15 to 30 seconds, like not much time, and then they'll do another one where they spend like 2 to 3 minutes, and it's like 8 boxes, and they'll do 4 boxes where they'll spend like as much time as they need on, and then they'll pick the best 2 and kind of like flip back and forth through those. They'll do that a lot within drawing, but doing something like that could definitely help. And even if not, even if you don't draw out the ideas, just writing the ideas down and, you know, like circling the ones that you like or starring them or however. And getting them out that mind space is the best thing you can do. I want to talk about conditioned stimulus and unconditioned stimulus at some point. Oh, word, yeah, that. It's a whole thing. It stretches from like. Stop telling me I gotta activate that cow. It stretches from one side to the other of the wall. It's like a whole back piece. Um, it's actually a photo, or it's been it's been digitized. Obviously, um, because it has pixels on it. It should not have pixels on it if it's a painting, unless they're painting with pixels. I don't know, but regardless. But yeah, at some point I'm gonna talk about conditioned and unconditioned stimulus because that is a if we because that's part of the psychic defense really. I don't know. We gotta move up. We gotta keep moving. I got my ideas. I wouldn't start that. Right. I mean, hey, that'd be a really cool creative project to do, though. Just like winging it one time, just getting a huge like tapestry and just running with it. Whatever comes out, comes out. The one time I did paint, I was at my friend's house. Well, I just recently met these two people. They are like other like local DJs. We hung out, and we stood up all damn night, like painting and stuff, and like watching videos and like sharing each other's music taste and stuff. It was really cool. We just made abstract art. I don't have the painting anymore, unfortunately, because I gave it to one of my friends when we all split up. Because I had one of her paintings. Do I still have one? No, I don't. Someone's holding on to them for me is what's going on with those, because I swear I still have one. Anyway, I don't have any of the paintings we had. It was just like abstract things that we did. It was really cool. Doing your dude, definitely draw out your downloads. It can lead to very interesting like interpretations from self. It like I what is that? No, why is there? Oh, okay, that's not good. I don't like that. There was just a beeping in my headphones. I'm not okay. It was like a testing signal, and I'm fine. I don't want to. I don't want that to happen. I don't know what that is. I don't know who it is, but whatever it is, it stopped. Hey, of course, no worries, CST. Pull back in whenever you need. We appreciate love you for stopping by, and we always love the combos here. Truly, data dreams, yeah, definitely drawing out your dreams and stuff. I used to like make like tiny doodles of songs before I made it. That could be confirmation for something. The only thing is, I don't know what it could be confirmation for. I have to type in and figure that out later. But you're here like so it's not just me. We're hearing that like beep 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 beep. Cool. So someone's tapped into something that I'm tapped into at least. Okay, someone's tapped into the what I'm talking about because it immediately just happened right after I said that. Cool. Awesome. And all I'm getting in my mind is like a ship, like a sham. Is there a sham? Is there a sham? You're making me want to go outside and look now. Hold on. I might have to end the stream and go UFO hunting now. Shit, no. But when I was thinking about it, all I was getting was like a sham. And also that one UFO that popped up in like Mexico. Was it like I think where was I forgot where it was in Mexico, but it was the triangle UFO, the pyramid one. I got like that in my mind, and then I got a sham after focusing on that beeping noise. So, and then with the, yeah, I mean, shit, thank you. Confirmation with that. So that's interesting. it definitely has something to do with the shams and stuff, though. Because every time I thought about it like a second ago, and the beep was very faint, but it went through again. So there's something with that. This could just mean like you might be getting encounters soon, maybe ancestors coming to you, angels, angelic support, however, just beings not of this plane but another plane uh, are around. I mean that's all I can get from it because I don't know what else is popping up within it. Um, Something about shams and something about that mysterious triangle ship that I don't think anyone knows the name of. Said for real, say less. That's all I know. I ask a question, I got an answer. I got multiple confirmations of the same thing. I'm good. I'm fine. I got all I need. Something's happening. I got alerted, and someone in here needed to know, and that's all I know about. But yeah, they're the messages of like cycles closing and needing to act more in this childlike energy, and removing the blockages of like being seen has just been like a big message recently for collective. Definitely for me in aspects because I know where the fuck it smacks for me. Oh my god, I know where it smacks for me, and it hits hard because I know. I mean, like I've been trying to work on it, and it's like, hey, this issue's coming up by the way, and you just need to be prepared for it. So I'm like ready for it, but like even like when I do like one-on-ones with on here like the pools for people on the streams and stuff, it's still talking about like the inner child and like projects coming up or artistic endeavors. Like that's been the main thing for like a lot of people here. Um, so I guess I just have a bunch of artistic people and artists and like painters and dancers and bakers. Also, I figured out why I was using the baker analogy so much. Around the time that I was making those baker analogies all the time, I was talking to someone that was also a baker, and they were in my energy that whole time. So I was like, I figured that out. So I use baker analogies. We have bakers in here. We have artistic people. I like it. Damn. I know how that feels though. Not like a whole hood type situation, but I know how it feels to have a group. A group of peoples. But having a hood is crazy. Man, you really have to like think about that now. Like I'm not I'm not trying to like talk about this subject for too long, but it popped in my head like at some point these YNs and the gangs and shit, they gotta stop using they blickies and just go full on like esoteric force on people. They already use like brujas and stuff to bless them and their guns and shit. They're not that far away from just full on like going up to people, be like, yo, take this nigga out. Like they ain't not that far from it. They just gotta they take one step to the spiritual path. Fuck, dude. I don't know who teach him either. I don't know who teach him either. But goddamn, dude. If all it takes is one. That's the that's the thing. For anything to happen on this plane, all it takes is one. So I'm very certain though, by the time that even happens, the majority of people that need to be in their positions or the majority of people that need to know the protection for that stuff, it's gonna be out there. So it's not gonna be like something that's gonna come up out of nowhere. Dude, one rotten apple spoils the bunch. It's it is not just a kindergarten scare, it's a thing. Mold will do it. But it's like it's something, dude. Cause like here's the thing. Everyone's so focused on like magic and stuff of that nature. That literally means since everyone here is focused on magic, that there's another form of energy manipulation beyond what we know of these branches of the force that we call magic or magica, depending on which branch you want to talk about, right? Um, but by the time that happens, we're gonna have some hell. We're gonna have like atomic like atomic stabilizing by that point, where we're gonna figure out how to like stabilize reality around us, so like stopping earthquakes and shit or something. I don't know, or like reversing bombs blowing up. I don't know. We'll figure something out. I'm just throwing out ideas at this point. I'm being delusional just for the fuck of it. Probably 2050. Not honestly, yeah, but like 2040, 2050, definitely something like that would pop up. And I just got my fucking phone said you need to because I don't have my Apple account's fucked up, and it keeps requesting me to sign back in. And the second after I said like by the time 2040 or 2050, I got that notification. So probably around then, because like the contract for intergalactic trading and travels, that route ban lifts in 2030, and in 2040 it goes into full effect, which that would be the seventh thunder, and that's when we're going to start getting a lot more traction here, and a lot more beings. The 144,000, so to speak, would have already left by that point, in Nibiru or heaven, and being taught by Thoth, and going through all the schools. Even though it's going to be one day up there, it's going to be thousands of years down here for them to come back down, and help those who have been preparing the ones that were left behind. Not to say it in that sense, but just to say it, who have been like rebuilding the new earth on the physical. They leave the spiritual to come back to the physical to then teach in that sense. And that's, whenever that trading route ban happens, there's going to be more influx in, simply because, unfortunately, with this lifetime, the way it's gone, a lot of the 144,000 aren't going to make it to that point. There's going to be less than needed, at least. From like what I've been like told and heard from people and stuff, of like similar things, like not, and I mean, of course, like not all 144,000 are guaranteed to make it, but there's a lot less like who are actually amped and for the true mission of purity and reconnectivity of self, and truly getting that divine bridge access than we actually expect or realize at this point. And I say we as in like people, not like galactic. But like the ones that are like, for certain, a few of the signs that I've talked to people and got confirmation, a lot of the signs for those who are like on that path, not to say it's a bad path if you get left behind. It doesn't mean you're a bad person if you don't get left behind. Only 144,000 can fit on the ship, so don't take like a blow to it or anything. But like, so I learned all of the things I know about the 144K from Dr. Malachi York, the Young Elder, and Phase 1. They've talked about it a lot. Those are the people that I've gone to try to kind of like grasp more of it. Now, the science behind 144,000, I haven't studied yet. I watched a video on it a while ago. I just didn't take notes on it because I was just skimming through videos and multitasking at that point, which is bad on me. But those are like, the elect few, the chosen ones, if you want to say. But it's not the fact that they were chosen to be elect, it's the fact that they were walking, they chose the path. Because it's not about you being chosen to be a chosen one, it's what you're choosing to be. Because we're all chosen, but for what are you choosing to be on your chosen one path? Are you choosing to be the chosen one that lifts up and brings joy and love to those around you, or are you the chosen one to bring demolish and havoc around those around you? You play both parts of the story, but it's all based off of your moral balance, your moral code that dictates your character at that point. If we want to talk about it that way. But anyway, signs for that is like it's very 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 vivid dreams. Time speeding up, not time necessarily slowing down, but time like speeding up. That happening. Receiving a lot of signs. not like angel numbers and stuff. We're talking about like seeing things, hearing things, getting like actual signs with you being on your own, not necessarily looking for something, not hearing that sign coming from another individual, in that sort of sense. Which book or speaker? The speakers are. I'll type them out here. And I'll put like the platforms as well. Uh, and then you can also go to the Young Elders channel, and he has a playlist of the entire Dr. Malachi York teachings, and you can go through all of them, and he goes over basically everything. If you go to the link, the Google Drive link in the description, that has all of his books in it. And if you go to the Holy Tablets, that's the book that he wrote that goes over the existence of life from start to finish. Talking about the Anunnaki, even like down to triple darkness, the first, the 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 event before the event, to say it in that sense. He talks about Anu and all of them, the whole Anunnaki bloodline, the Egyptian bloodline. He talks about the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, everything in that sense. Angels, God, devil, Jesus, everything. And he's written over thousands of books. So don't expect to read like every single. Well, I mean, maybe you can. I don't know how fast you read, but definitely go check these people out. And like, don't just believe it. Check out, cross-reference the information. I always do whenever I do things, and it's from what we know about things that happen on Earth that come from like studies and facts and things of that nature. They definitely gives the best. But if you're looking for like phase one and Malachi give the best for that, definitely. Phase one heavily for like Masonic things and that nature. But if you're looking for history of like events on life, or like getting to learn the extraterrestrials better, the Young Elder is the best for that. He has all the like everything, like different bloodlines, talking about the different species of the different galaxies, breaking it down like really well. But that's where I get all my information from. It's not really something I can comfortably, speak on, because I haven't like done a lot of studying on it, and I need to get a lot more information just to answer questions better. But those three are definitely who to go to for this knowledge. And I also will say, don't let phase one like fool you. He's very clout chasey when it comes down to it, but clout means fish, and he's a fisherman in that sense. That's how he describes it. But he's also like gone through all the degrees of masonry and the Scottish Rite, so he speaks from an elite, an elevated, a prestige point of view. So he might speak over heads. He speaks over my head a lot sometimes, but yeah, he will definitely get you caught up to code with like high vibrational speaking, or like knowing yourself, or just getting down to the facts, asking questions that could actually get answered, or be answered in that sense. That phase one is definitely to go to for that. He also, when he streams on Instagram, when he goes live, sometimes he pulls up people. All you have to do is ask to get pulled up, and he'll pull you up. He's not gonna be mean to you or belittle you. He's a lot more blunt than me, a lot more straightforward than me. But I go to him to get straightened up myself. Let me tell you. But he will sit you with the facts and everything. He'll look things up. He'll tell you to look things up. He'll ask you if you know the definitions of things before like going into it. He knows his stuff. Like he is a master alchemist. I'll leave it at that, because boy knows his shit. I'll leave it like that. But Just go to phase. If you want, just go to phase one. If you need like a soul moment, or something to like push you forward, phase one. Yeah, being blunt, straightforward. Phase one. Phase one helped me start telling things more straight and more forward. There was a live that he had, and it was something that I don't remember what he said, but the feeling that I had like still stuck to me. It spoke directly to me, and I was like, man, like I gotta just stop worrying about like that, because it was my stutter and like just not having the things in a certain way that I wanted it to be, and just watching that live like set that straight completely. Ooh, not road rash. But yeah, I like being forward with it. I'm becoming a lot more forward with it. Um, I just know that the things I talk about, they're not easy to talk about, because if you're not thinking that way already, it's like hard. So I do my best. Over like because I still let like I still let people say emotional. I still talk through like the whole tarot thing. That side of things is gonna slowly like decrease as we move on, because it will be more in like a settled area where we'll have like the directs. I'll still go back and like break things down, of course, but we'll be walking to a point where I'll stop using certain words and use other words instead, in that sense, to kind of give the more direct message. No, I didn't say if you read the Bible you're worshiping two masters. The Bible is a codex. It's there to help you. It's the instructions to bounce out, in that sense, if you want to talk it in that sense. But it's also the it guides you through the experiences of life. If you were to replace every character's name with your name there, you know, you would be able to see like the connectivity with you in life and how those things work, and you'll be able to actually see the metaphors and the deeper message of things. You'll have something to connect you to it. Um, the only reason why we can't connect ourselves to things is because the names are different, and everyone can connect with Job because Job was one of the most like straightforward, most obvious examples. Even though it might have been an extreme one, it still like could have been accepted and different. And don't feel stupid. Don't feel stupid. It's fine. If you didn't overstand it, it's okay. Like it's perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. Um, Sometimes we just sometimes we hear things wrong. We receive things the wrong way. It's perfectly fine. So no worries. We're here to learn. We're not here to bash. Allow that feeling of like stupidity to turn into humbleness. Don't let it remain stupidity. The rational mind likes to do that. Let it be what it truly is supposed to be, in that form of being humble, of being taught something new. In that something being taught something new, not being externally but internally, like, oh, I heard that wrong, you know what I mean, or I interpreted that wrong. However, turning it into that is a thing to really do. It's hard. It's difficult though, because we're not taught how to do these things. Not even therapy. Therapy won't even teach you how to do these things. It's like, that's what I want to talk about. Is these deeper aspects of stuff, but we have to go over like the brain and how that is, and the mind, and get certain words straight before we can dive into that. And honestly, doing it with tarot is really easy, but eventually I'll have to stop doing it with the tarot cards. Maybe not. I'll milk it dry. I remember Paul changed his name. No, it's Paul changed. He changed his name 3 times, but then when God said, "Hey, I'm gonna change your name to," I forgot what his name, John. I think, yeah, Paul was gonna be named John, and he said, "I don't want that name. I'm gonna name myself Saul instead." What the fuck? Like, how are you gonna, like, you don't want to change your name to this, but you're gonna change it 3 other times? Okay, buddy. Like, you could have had a really cool part in the story, but you fucked it up because you just didn't want to be called John. So then You know, there's too many Johns. You just got John phobic. You're afraid of their. You know, there's Pastor John already who baptized himself and Jesus. There was fucking another John. There's Joseph. That's close to John. No, but you know what I mean. Like Paul was just crazy. But yeah, like I don't know. There's so much to teach. There's so much that I want to like talk about, and it's just I gotta stop trying to make it perfect and just wing it. That's the thing. That's the solution. So I have the solution. Now I just have to do it. That's the next step is getting that mind to stop talking and actually doing it. But I'm gonna get a video kind of going over just like the basis of what conditioned stimulus and unconditioned stimulus is. Because we already know what it is, but once you become cognizant of it and like conscious of it, then you can start to see, oh fuck, this is happening in reality. And since I'm already doing this myself to these small things, what am I doing to these greater things that's also like connecting me to things? Yeah, the people needed an idol. So they made the golden bull an idol, and that golden bull was the it was oh my god, it was the golden calf. I made a whole bit. How did I? Why is this information not coming back to me? I made a whole video on the golden calf. But the golden calf was an idolization. Um, you can think of it as Baal or Baal or Belial if you want. Um, I believe that's what it's representing in the first place. I think that was the battle of like Belial and God, or like Beelzebub or Iblis, which one. But yeah, that is um that's an idol worship. That's that I think it's no. Is it it is Moloch, isn't it? Yeah. Right. I have the I need it, hold on. I'm not gonna let this. It's not Belial. It's not Baal. It's not Belial. I was wrong. It might be someone else. I said the wrong name probably. No. No, it's Moloch. It's Moloch. It was Moloch. I'm right. I don't know why I'm second guessing myself. It's not Belial, but it's Moloch. Yeah, it's putting yourself like literally read the Bible that way. Like even if it's just one story, it switches up so much. It really compares it to it because like everyone, even if it's like two people talking, it's still you. Like do that. That opens you. That like makes you more aware of like the other part of you. There's the part of you, the masculine that's doing an action, and the feminine, the one that's receiving always. And doing it in that sense kind of makes it more applicable. The Cain and Abel story. You know, Cain got uh, jealous of Abel, so Cain killed Abel. You got upset at you, so you did something to end something on your path. You know, Cain then cried out to God. You know, I don't want to. Don't send me there. I don't want to get punished. And then you say to yourself, "Oh, I don't want this consequence. You know, I'll do better." Right? And the fact that Cain killed Abel, you killed the inspiration to do things in that sense. You can go even further. Cain being your rational mind, and Abel being your intuitive mind. Your rational mind killed your intuitive mind, and then your rational mind cried out loud to you, I don't want this punishment. What can we do? To which then you know, XYZ. And tell them, go on down the path because that's all we got to do. There's nothing else we can do, and then walk down that path. But yeah, reading it that way, it just opens your mind up to a new conscious level. It shows you. It's not necessarily a way of reading the Bible that's gonna teach you about like extraterrestrials, but it will teach you like about your soul, about you, the many aspects of you. If that's something cool that you want to learn about, learning about you. People are afraid of the ego. I wish ego didn't have a pessimistic connotation to it. I could have just said connotation. I want ego to be recognized as it is, because ego is just I. You have me, myself, and I. Me is who I am to you. Myself is who I am when I'm alone or when I have no one around me, and then I'm in the middle. I'm the observer from the nose point out. Me, myself, and I. Me, myself, and ego. It's me. That's what we are. And I don't know. People keep saying ego's bad. Ego's good. I'm gonna kill my ego. Why? Don't kill yourself. Quit doing that. Stop. Just like, stop doing that. You're already dying constantly. Your cells are constantly regenerating. There's no need to want to kill your ego. Simply just allow your ego to see that there's another part of it that it's not seeing. Like you're just being selfish. It's okay. Just look the other way. Like if we, it's harder than that because the rational mind doesn't want to. See, that's the thing. Like, to know yourself is to get closer to God, though, because then you realize that you're not separate, that you're always there, and that it's just inside, and you spend a lot of time inside, not physically but spiritually. You need to go outside spiritually. This is going to be a brain buster. Hold on. You need to go outside spiritually to see the to see the outside of the internal reality. God dang. I was trying not to laugh while saying that. It's something that I have with me where if I say something overcomplicated, I have to not laugh. Because it's just like, man, this is just like, I wish English had just better words. Why does this have to sound like fucking word soup and word salad when I speak of it? Why can't it just be normal? But then again, that's why those with ears will hear and those with eyes will see, because it's not supposed to be for everyone. It's supposed to be for those that desire it, you know. Their souls that desire it, not their mind, not them, but their soul. So if you don't want to do something, it's because your soul doesn't want to. That doesn't mean it's good or bad. It just means it's not for your soul. So don't let people say, if you don't do that, you're a bad person. No, my soul is just not aligned with it for that individual for some odd reason that has something to do with the energetic boundaries between me and them. So what does seeing white orbs mean? Shit. So what my old response would have been is that there is an angel around you. But what I'm going to truly say is when it comes to orbs, no matter if they are white or black, they are there to support and protect. So white orbs, you can deem them as protectors. Now, it's bars and streaks. If you see like little bars or like lines, like white lines or black lines, those are the ones you want to watch out for. Those are like the tears through things, right? So orbs, no matter what color, they're usually good. I've had experiences with both white and the black orbs. I've talked to people about it to make sure. So far, everyone seems it's cool. I was on a 3-hour phone conversation when I first was seeing them, and I was like, so is this good or bad? It's like, so normally they're not. Like, it's the streaks you want to watch out for. They'll normally try to hide. But yeah, I mean, yeah, from everyone that has these experiences, like the orbs are fine. It's like the streaks that are bad. You've never seen the black bars or streaks? Cool. Well, welcome in. Confirmation. Thank you. I know y'all seen that one because that was a fucking flash. But from everyone that's dealt with it, the orbs are cool. It's the lines and the bars that are like not good. So don't worry about the orbs. I feel like those are just like, I guess in terms, because I don't want to use, because black and white doesn't mean higher or lower vibration. So I'm not going to compare it that way. But they could just be like different guides, different like parts of self. That might be like a light aspect and a shadow aspect of self that might have come out. I'm not too sure. I'm not in with the orbs. But what I do know is the orbs are fine. It's the lions that just aren't. And I don't know why. It's so weird. I don't. No one's really like been able to tell me why, but from general experience, I love. That's why I love life, dude. Some things are just like that for a while. Like, yeah, we don't really know the cause of it, but this is exactly what happens. So we know the effect. We just don't know what it is yet. I've seen all kinds too. I've seen like rainbow auras of things. I've seen like shapes, like shadow people, eyes. I've seen heads. I've seen smokes and fogs and stuff, dude. And like, it never has really mattered about like whether it's like, light or dark. It's just like the shape or like the texture of it that matters. It's so interesting. It's very interesting the more I think about it, because it's just like, I don't know, conditioned brain stuff. But yeah, I would try reaching out to the orbs. Don't like touch them, but try to talk to them. Like, ask them like, hey, are you here for good? What are you here for? Can you give me a sign while you're here? Things of that nature. A dead bird, but as big as hell. Was it like a vulture or something? Every time I hear big bird, I think vultures. I love vultures. Shadow Pete, listen. I've had too many experiences. Almost like a duck. Where are you at? Hemisphere wise, it might have been a Canadian goose, not geese. It might not have been, but you never know. You talk to them. Yeah, shadow people are interesting. They're weird, but I haven't been hurt or like hurt by one, but I've been kind of intimidated by one. You right word. Yeah, because it's about that time for migration anyway. I had one Canadian goose fly by like 2 days ago, and it made me super happy because I love hearing them honk. What do you think that means? It could mean that some form of like transition or forward movement has been canceled, or some form of thing that may have been sent to you has been canceled or shut down. Especially if you are dealing with like witchcraft or like being under magic attack or dealing with things of that nature. It could just mean that something wasn't sent your way, or a message wasn't sent, or that some form of like forward movement has been canceled. In that sense. Welcome in, Ellen. Welcome in. Oh, you don't talk to the shadows? Oh, I talk to them. It's whatever. As long as they don't do anything, to me. If they don't cross a boundary with me, I'm cool. But the second they cross a boundary, I'm like, get out, like leave. You have to leave now. I'm gonna call my mom and dad, and they're gonna kick your ass if you don't leave. And then they leave. Damn. Well, birds are messengers by nature. There could be a message that's not getting to you. You could be not receiving a message. Or at least receiving it fully and or like correctly in that sense. You know what I mean? There could be something you need to look at differently. Or this even could be something that someone's trying to send to you not going through as well. In hoodoo practices, when you see dead birds, is because something did not go through. I feel that. Joe. I do the same thing. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'll just stare at them. It's bad. You're not really supposed to stare at shadow people. Sometimes I will. It's a bad habit. But I gotta get off here soon. Fuck. I forgot. One of my friends said they wanted to talk about something, and it's almost been an exact hour. Because they're. Oh my god. Because I said I was gonna help them with something. But I'll give it 3 minutes. I'll give it 3 minutes. I'm not getting up just now. I'll get up at 150. I just OCDing it right now. Yeah. Take it as it is. For that. You see, I see. Yeah, I had a lot of encounters when I was young too. Like, it was bizarre. There was one day I remember this because it pissed me off. Like, it made me so mad that it like irked something deep within me, and I've been trying to like heal it. And it doesn't like get me like mad, but I can still feel the anger from like, how old would I have been? Fourth grade. Like fucking like 8 or 9 year old me. I can still feel that anger. Because I zoned out in class and was like doing channeled writing. And we were supposed to write what was on the board for like 5th grade. I didn't give a fuck about that. I was like channeled writing and stuff in my book. And some girl who was sitting next to me was like, "Hey, you're not writing the notes." And I came back too, and I was like, "What do you mean? I'm writing what I'm writing what I'm getting." And like, that's not what's on the board. I'm telling the teacher, and she told on me, and I got and sit to the fucking principal's office. And that really made me upset. I didn't know what I was doing until like later on, like a few years down the line. But I was like, I got in trouble for channeling in class. I was like channeled writing. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And some little girl got me in trouble in 4th grade. Yeah, I can still feel like there's the anger in me from that. I don't know why like past me is so mad about it. I gotta work through that. Cause it's not like, and it doesn't get me mad, but it gets me like fired up and like goofy and like ready to laugh. But there's definitely a hint of anger in there somewhere. I'm not too sure why. I didn't get in trouble though. I got to the principal's office. They didn't like say anything because I didn't write down anything inappropriate. I wasn't disturbing class. There wasn't anything like morally or like settings wise that I did wrong other than not taking notes that weren't really that important anyway. Even the principal kind of admitted it. So I didn't get in trouble. A jar of pickles? I'm not too sure about that. Because I would also like, what would the pickles represent? What do pickles even mean, especially? Because the green, what would that even mean? Because I would even have to like, I would have to dig deep. Hold on. Let me see. Let me look up this first. Oh, what the fuck? That's so funny because that's what I was thinking about, but like that's really what it's used for, huh? Really? The more you fucking know. Huh. Well, was someone trying to get money from you? I'll ask you that. I'm gonna turn off the heat. I'll ask you that. Did you owe someone money when someone trying to get money from you? Because apparently pickles are used to coerce people into paying you and or getting money. So. If that's how you're wanting to interpret it, it's either someone trying to get money out of you and it didn't work, or you try to get money out of someone else and that didn't work. Coming from like a practitioner point of view, but that be still money from me. Well, I guess that shit over now because that pickle jar broke. If and you want to give yourself the power to take that in and let that resonate and simmer in, you can do all that all day long. I'll let you on that one. Cause yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It also depends on what they're doing. If they're doing hoodoo on you, that's different. I don't know if they use pickles. I don't know what the fuck they use pickles for. I could ask in a group though, for sure. What the hell can I do with some pickles? What kind of spells can I do with these pickles? They gonna say, well, they kosher pickles? You can't be using kosher pickles. You gotta be using dill pickles for this spell or some shit. Knowing how hoodoo is and they specificities, you can't be using dill pickles for this. You gotta be using fucking bread and butter. Hell no. You gotta use that fucking hot and spicy pickle. Or whatever the fuck. I don't know. Yeah, they were kosher. Man, everyone be buying kosher pickles. Everyone be buying kosher pickles. That fucking... What is that bird called? That carrier bird? The stork? The fucking stork? You know what I'm talking about. The pickle brand with the stork as the mascot. Whatever the fuck that is. Everyone be buying that shit. Everyone be getting kosher pickles. I be getting that bread and butter pickle. It's a guilty pleasure. I enjoy bread and butter pickles. I really do. But everyone be buying their kosher pickles. I gotta get off of here. I've been killing too much time. They do hit. Though, listen. I've met some people that don't like them. They smack. Listen, you put that shit on a sandwich in the summertime when you just got out of a pool, that shit smacks you so hard. I don't want to hear it. Bread and butter pickle. That's all you need in life. And you don't even need them you don't need the whole one. You can get them sliced. And then they have those like little baby pickles. Man, I don't talk about pickles. I've never in my life talked about pickles like this until today. What the hell are y'all doing to me? What is going on? Y'all got me preaching about pickles up here. Y'all got me preaching about pickles. Like, come on, man. Oh my god. I'm using that as my excuse. I use that as my excuse. I sent a message to my friend saying my whole chat got me preaching about pickles. I use that as an excuse. We're just breaking the night, dude. We're gonna break open a conspiracy theory at some point about something to do with pickles and the government, dude. Or something. We keep talking about it like this. No, but I do gotta get off. I will be back. I know I said this yesterday, but yesterday I fell right asleep. The second that I had the comfort of getting this stream again, I went right to fucking sleep and took that nurturing. But I'm gonna be back at probably like 2 or 3 a.m. for like the night owls in the States, or like the afternooners, or the EUs and everyone else. I gotta fit everyone in. But I'll go around. I'll be alive around then. Regardless, though, thank you for being here. The donations, the chats, the fun times that we have here. It's hell yeah. That's what's up. It's not here too. It's about to be non. My bad. It's about to be non over here. But yeah, I truly love it over here with you all. It's truly a fun time. But I love you all so much. Soon back, sinful and forever. Everything's in the description. Y'all know the drills for that. But I will see you all later.